back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Presented by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
It is the most exciting day of the year. It is National Signing Day. Oh, wait, that was 2 years ago. It's actually not that exciting. OU signs one guy today. The official release is already out as we're doing the podcast.
What if they just did sign one guy? Just a one-guy signing class.
The first time around?
The first time around, yeah.
Well, that would probably mean,
somebody's dead or something.
Eddie, I would like to give you a special award to start this show.
What is this?
All right.
That is the speeding ticket that you got in Des Moines, Iowa.
Unbelievable.
Crime Stoppers.
I know that you probably didn't believe that because you were like, what the F, man?
I still don't believe it.
I'm a witness.
Is this
Special
real?
award. That is real.
I have a witness with me.
We did not get pulled over.
Well, you don't
at
have
any
to.
time.
Apparently in Iowa, you don't have to get pulled over. They have, just radar detectors on poles.
Does it save it on
So
the
crazy.
interstate?
I was hoping for a picture of you two. Like, usually they send out. I haven't looked through every single piece of mail that I have, so I might
Maybe
have
there
a
is.
picture of you somewhere.
Does it say interstate or side?
It doesn't
like neighborhood or what?
It doesn't
Does
say.
Does it say what the limit was?
Hold on, I think I know
No.
where I think I know where another Enterprise.
The thing about
thing
it,
was
Bob, is it says what was the time here? 9:16. So 9:16 was the Sunday after because
Yes.
the game was on the 15th. So we were headed to the airport, obviously.
And we were good because if you remember, we had that guy cut in front of us because he was the one freaking out.
What time was that game at?
The game was,
It was an
11
o'clock game, right?
So our flight was real
'cause then
early Sunday.
Yeah, it was still early, but I don't remember us just rushing necessarily.
We were not rushing at all from Ames.
If there was a way to fight this, I would. And the only way that I know that this is real is I was contacted by a couple news people out of Des Moines that I guess follow me somehow. It's up to one of them, by the way. But they said, "Oh yeah, you got to watch whatever," and I guess they have video cameras out there. But I think this should be illegal.
It really should
for this to happen.
How do we live in a society where is this Russia?
Well, this is government conspiracy 101 is what this is. This is complete bullshit, to be honest. I just can't believe that they sent this to you.
Well,
and here's the
it
other
was my
thing.
name on the rental agreement.
But how did they know that I was driving?
That's a good question. Well, you were the one on the car, though. So you had your name on the car.
Didn't you have to sign it when we got in Friday night or something like that?
Maybe so. I don't remember.
Like, I would have been pissed off if I had my name on the car and I got a speeding ticket.
This is my first speeding ticket outside of the state of Oklahoma, so that's kind of cool.
How many speeding tickets do you get? Because you are a fast driver.
I've only gotten 3, I think, all time.
That's not bad.
And then I've gotten 2, seatbelt violations, actually down here in Norman.
That's bad.
So
Doesn't your car beep until...
Yeah, you just get used to it.
So you will sit in your car and just let it beep.
Sometimes. Depends on where I'm going.
It's so easy to just put your seatbelt on,
And
so
it's
it stops.
kind of the moral of the story, though, or not the moral of the story, but it's kind of the principle. That's another thing that should be illegal. You shouldn't have to wear your seatbelt. I know you should.
By the way,
and 98% of the time I do.
I've decided to start my own truther moment or truther movement.
About?
Let's welcome in Josh McQuistion. You can take yourself off mute now, Josh.
Yeah, I'm here. I could talk speeding tickets all day, but I guess we could talk about something else.
Josh is
I kind of wish they would have let it linger out. I could have been a fugitive on the run for a while.
I wonder if any points go on your license though, because they don't have your driver's license.
Yeah. So was this really sent out 4 months later, or were you just now getting?
I was cleaning my house and going through old mail, and it was in my wasn't a bill, wasn't IRS, wasn't anything pile.
So it's possible that there was a warrant out for Eddie's arrest.
There could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
just
see what
the
happens.
state
is-
of Iowa hates me for some reason.
Well, I got a ticket when I was out in L.A. Just because I didn't understand the highway system out there, and I got in the HOV lane by myself. And so, like, the rental car...
When we were out there for the Rose Bowl?
No, this was when I went out for that bachelor party, for Gabe Eichert's
okay.
bachelor party. And I got a bill saying Enterprises charge this to your card because you got it. And it had a picture of me in the HOV lane.
It's almost like they know that you're driving a rental car, and so they, like, target... The cameras
rental
target
cars?
rental cars. Seriously.
No, but I came up with my own truth of movement that I'm ready to start because it was his birthday today. I think that all baseball footage and records of Babe Ruth have been faked.
As far
It's
as
too
like
unbelievable that he was that good.
I mean, was he that good?
Or did he play against
we're
nobodies?
I think we're all under the impression if he played today, he would be not in the major league.
No, I mean, but he was so much better than everybody else. I mean,
I just think
guys
everybody
played-
else sucked.
Wait. We're of the impression that he wouldn't be in the major leagues today?
Correct.
I'm not of that
Okay,
impression.
no, I don't. Well, he wasn't real, so it doesn't matter.
He
It's
wouldn't
a-
be able to hit
it's a
home runs
fictitious
against the
argument.
pitchers today.
Jay Bruce has had a 10-year career in this league. If you can hit the ball and you can hit it a long way, you're going to have a career.
And see, the
now,
stories are so ridiculous. It's like they say, like if you couldn't even swing his bat, a modern day player couldn't even swing his bat, it was so heavy.
He's the Sultan SWAT.
The Colossus of Clout.
Carey,
Colossus
he
of
was
Clout.
enormously fat.
He was.
That's another nickname.
It's so unbelievable. He was fat. He could pitch and hit home runs. He called his own shots.
Well, that
He was also a womanizer.
I do think that that's fake.
And an alcoholic. Like he was a fat womanizer, please. I can tell you from experience that doesn't happen.
You got to play all your cards.
Babe Ruth was not real.
Well, he was all up into the horse, wasn't he?
Oh, I'm sure.
Who wasn't though? Mickey Mantle's a real man's man. That's a true
See,
man.
and people actually saw him play. It wasn't staged games like when Babe Ruth was playing.
I mean, I could buy it.
And people say, "Oh, there's
Of
video."
course you could buy it.
People
What?
are like,
I see
You're
where
capping
he's
the
Imagine that.
conspiracy.
I
Of
see where
course
he's
you could
coming
buy it.
from. That's all I'm saying. I
people
see where
always
he's coming
say,
from.
"Oh, well, they have video of it." Have you seen that video? It's not even.
Yeah, it's always grainy.
It's grainy and it's way too fast. Like you don't know. They may have been walking in slow motion and sped that up.
The strides are usually pretty short.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
Like I saw video of Jackie Robinson a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was 100. I mean, that you could tell that was real.
I want to see that Peter Jackson movie where he redoes World War I footage. Have you seen that shit? Mm-mm.
Is it on
looks
Netflix?
amazing. No, it's in movie theaters.
Oh, it's a
right now.
movie right
Yeah.
now. Oh yeah, I had somebody went and saw it. I
looks
knew somebody that went and
amazing.
saw it. He said it was really good, but it wasn't what he expected.
They
if that
brought
makes
in like
sense.
lip readers to say,
Yeah.
figure out what they were talking about, and then they have actors, voice it and stuff.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Then is it out right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I had a buddy that went and saw that.
All right, enough of our off-tangent topics. We'll get right into it. It is National Signing Day. Josh, let's let you talk some. Tell us what happened. OU has actually sent out a full release. Tell us what happened that was expected and maybe the surprises, if any, today. Because we know I'm just setting you up.
Obviously, we'll start with the positive. Oklahoma got the signature from David Agwebu, the four-star edge from Katy Seven Lakes. He sent that in almost immediately at 7 o'clock this morning, sent me a message. And really, before I could even kind of relay what he'd sent me, Oklahoma had a release up. So they were fully ready for that, and that went exactly as planned. The other guy that I am very confident that they had plans and release and graphics and all the things they needed to do for was Danielson Ike, the offensive lineman from Kansas City Rockhurst, who I think we can all now say was the eyes on January 13th. And everything that he had done over the past couple of weeks, I mean, he went to SMU. No one seemed worried. He went to Kansas State. No one seemed worried. Everything seemed fine. He just seemed like a kid that was taking some visits, kind of seeing some things, And when does OU ever really lose to those schools in a true recruiting battle? So I think everybody felt fine. I know as of yesterday, he told Oklahoma he was going to be Oklahoma. This morning, he contacts Oklahoma and is like, I'm going to SMU. And
wait,
from
what?
Yeah, like it was something. I had a source tell me, and I'm like, that can't be right. There's no way that's right. I asked him again, like, are you sure about this? And sure as the world, that's what he'd done. And it sounds like what happened was, I know his head coach at Kansas City Rockhurst, one of the best programs in Kansas City, probably the best. Tony Severino, longtime head coach, had told Oklahoma that's what he thought was best for Danielson. He had said the same thing. He has a guardian that apparently felt SMU was the best option and really kind of put his foot down, from what I can gather, that SMU is where he wanted to be. Now, what I can understand, I know people are automatically going to say, oh, what happened here? It sounds like an academic thing. It sounds like that's where he was focused, and that's where he wanted Danielson to focus. And
yeah, it's academic. When someone gives you a bunch of money, you take it.
It's a smart decision.
I can't fault the kid for that. But, again, he left OU in a weird spot because Oklahoma had walked away from Enokk Vimahi because they thought they had Ike. Well, when that didn't happen, now, Oklahoma's left trying to figure out what's going to happen, and we'll get into all that. But Oklahoma, it's one of those things where if a kid is willing to, I guess, let himself be pushed towards SMU and thinks that maybe SMU could be as good a fit for him as Oklahoma, was he really going to be an impact guy at a place like Oklahoma? I mean, how many times does that happen when a guy chooses a school like that and walks away from the elite program and they goes to the other one and, becomes a big-time guy? I think maybe his head's in a different place, and that's fine. That's just the way that goes.
It doesn't. By the way, I hope all these people that have been writing all these stupid-ass articles about committable and non-committable offers and how many scholarships people put out there, maybe they should write an article about kids that screw colleges. How about that? With your stupid articles.
I was just gonna say, there's nothing more that defines you as somebody that doesn't follow recruiting when it comes National Signing Day week, and then you write that and say,
expose.
I've been working on it for a couple months. Guess what? Nobody cares.
There's a dirty side
that's why newspapers are dying
about.
Because of stuff like that.
Well, Sports Illustrated that wrote the latest one.
Every year there's a cause from mainstream media that doesn't cover recruiting except for now 2 days a year. And they, this non-committable offer, is this a new thing? Oh, this is news. We got to break this. Jesus, people, it's been happening for 5 or 6 years. This is not new. Lane Kiffin pretty much invented this at Tennessee to kind of tell you how long this has been happening. But people that don't follow it, they've never heard the term before. So next year it'll probably be, blue shirts or something like that. They'll get excited about that and what that is.
No, I've already seen an article. You might know about red shirt and gray shirt, but what's the dirty secret behind blue shirts?
How can people be that naive, or not even naive, just how can you be that dumb about recruiting in this day and age? It's out there literally all the time.
Because you don't cover it.
And that stuff comes out every year though.
It's like I'm guilty of it. Josh will tell you this is kind of a hill that I die on all the time. Like Bill Haston called me last night for that Adrian Peterson article, or maybe it was 2 nights ago. And to me, all that stuff is, I've talked about that stuff 100 times about, going to his house and, just having the Ricky Williams poster on the wall and all that stuff. But a lot of people don't know that or don't remember it or had never heard that story before. It's like, you have to, as a journalist, you do have to realize that not everybody is an expert in what you do.
That's like my version.
That's why I always say, well, tell people who these recruits are that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't just throw out
and that makes sense. That's like my version of getting on the message board today or, in the next couple of days and somebody posts the Kyler Murray interview with Dan Patrick. It's like, well, that not only has been discussed, that has been analyzed and discussed and analyzed some more over the last 2 weeks.
And that's what drives me crazy about Twitter is I like to talk about something and then have it be over. I like to clean the schedule. I'm that way with everything. I get bored easily. Like, that's why I do radio in the morning. I wouldn't want to do, like, an OU radio show. Like, the podcast, like you guys say, you don't talk enough OU recruiting on the podcast. It's because we like to entertain ourselves. We like to branch out a little bit. We talk about this shit nonstop all day long. We like to have some fun. And when I go on Twitter, nobody's paying me to be on there. I want to dick around, and I actually have been trolling Nebraska fans, and I wish I hadn't.
Very rude to be trying
Rex
to
Burkhead hater.
Very rude to
Well,
be
it turns
burying
into
a
this.
dead program.
It turns into this. Rex Burkhead is the finest young man you will ever meet. I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
He's not a great football player. I mean, and he wasn't at Nebraska. He's lucky that he's even in the league. And if not for the Patriots, he probably wouldn't be in the league.
Well, let's be honest. If he wasn't white, he wouldn't be playing for the Patriots, which means he wouldn't be in the league.
Is this racist?
No, the is this racist portion of this this podcast this week would be the follow up to Josh's question or to Josh's comments about Danielson Ike would have been, are his parents from another country?
Because they value
Because
education.
they value education over football.
I mean, we saw that with Josh Waraboko.
And see how well
his parents
that
never
turned out.
His parents didn't like push him though the other
No,
direction.
I mean it was obvious. I think it was the beach life or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
And he's now in the portal.
He had different reasons for choosing a school.
And good for him. He got his education and he's ready to roll.
But it's
out
not
of
like
there.
he went to Stanford.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, let's be honest. He went to UCLA, which is a good school, but yeah, you're right. He didn't go to Stanford or Cal or one of the more prestigious
I was told,
academic institutions.
Eddie, I don't know if you told me this. Somebody told me this the other day. Barry J. Sanders went to Stanford, got a fantastic degree, could probably do a lot with it. Do you know what he's doing now?
Yes, I do. I think I
Maybe
told you.
you did tell me
I might
this.
have told you. Maybe not. I saw him over. What would that have
No,
been?
you saw him at a game, and you were telling me about it.
Yeah, where did I see him? Oh, he was on the field in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He evaluates players for EA Sports and is part of their ranking system.
He does the ranking system for Madden,
Yes.
That's awesome.
which is an awesome job.
Oh,
Dream
yeah.
job.
He gets to be around football.
Yeah, he was wearing a Madden. He was wearing an EA Sports Madden jacket.
That's what going to Stanford does for you. It allows you to get the jobs that regular Joes want.
He probably he's inventing like different ways to play the game too.
Oh, he's
from
not.
Stanford.
I doubt it.
No, probably not. All-time good guy though. He's on the all-time good guy list.
He's a super nice guy. Still, one of the weirdest things is when we went to Florida State, and we drove all the way back to Panama City. Got into the airport, sat down, and standing in the TSA line was Barry J. Sanders. I totally forgotten he took an official visit that week.
That was a series of just strange encounters, visits, just a weird, strange weekend. And
I
it started off.
Might have seen an alligator eating a deer on the way back.
Do you remember who we
City.
saw out there in Tallahassee? Right on the Friday night.
No, I wasn't drinking
An
either.
all-time WTF. Why did OU sign this guy? Lath Harlow.
Oh yeah. Oh, the recruiting trip. Yeah.
Yeah. The night before the Florida State game, we went and saw Lath Harlow.
Yeah, because
At Godby High School.
He should not have been a committable offer.
No. I mean, that was like one of those guys, you show up. When you go to a high school game, you kind of know what you're getting into. You know, like, okay, there's the 5-star guy. There's the high 4-star guy that I'm here to see. Same thing with Lath, but, 4 plays in, it's like, oh, my God, what's happening? Why? How did OU offer this guy?
They actually ran plays for him at the end of the game because we came out there. Like, their coach came up to him. He's like, hey, just stay a little bit longer. We're gonna get him some plays so you guys can get some video.
Great people, though, at Godby.
They were really cool.
Is it Godby? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you're right. It's
Okay.
Godby.
But
Okay.
that was
Great
that was an
program.
eye-opening experience because it was the first time I'd seen Florida high school football, and it was different, man. Like, it was basketball on grass.
he was a Bruce Kittle kid, and then he ended up having
That explains everything, Bob.
By the way, maybe they should have offered George Kittle instead of Lath Harlow.
Turned into the
He's
best tight
damn
end in the league.
all-pro.
He's literally one of the best tight ends in the league. He is. I saw a Skittles commercial the other day with
Kittle?
George Kittle in it.
Really?
I was like, holy shit. It's still insane to me that George Kittle, the guy that I saw in high school at Norman High School.
Oh, I looked
several
of his
on
games on
Vimeo
radio.
I looked for, we have George Kittle tape somewhere. I think it's on the actual, I don't think it's on card. I think it's on the actual tapes that we use, like the DV tapes.
Well, there was some other kid that we were interested in.
Donovan Roberts.
Oh, yeah, that's who it was.
Is that who it was?
They were both, 2012 class.
It's insane to me
And
still.
was Chuck Long's kid his quarterback his senior year?
Mm-hmm. Sure was.
It's wild.
Almost as weird as seeing Zach Taylor announced as the Bengals head coach.
That's insane to me, too. I mean, Zach Taylor is the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know Zach that well, but
is Sooner Red Zone now the preeminent insider for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh yeah,
I think he's already getting the site. He's up on.
He's got BengalScoop.com already started.
Seriously, yeah, he's already working on the graphics.
That's funny.
Didn't they like grow up on the same street or something?
Yeah, they all
I
grew
guess
up
I'm
in
outing someone a little bit. We're not using names. We just
Yeah,
know names.
they all grew up in the same neighborhood and kind of the same streets in Norman. I got a buddy that listens to the podcast all the time, and subscriber on Scoop that grew up in that little group, and it's kind of incredible. Like they're all
they had like football Sundays and everything.
They might be the most successful little group of Normanites that I've ever seen. It's incredible.
Crazy.
And then
he's 35 now.
He's 35, and then Press is with the Eagles, right? I'm pretty sure he's with the Eagles. I think that's
right. Yeah.
Press is a really good guy.
Oh, Press is taking as long as he works at the Bengals. Press has always got a job.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll go join him with the Bengals or not. He might want to do his own thing, but it's a good time to be a young, good-looking, white, former football player.
Yep.
And you're gonna.
I thought
have
you were going to stop at white.
Either quarterback or receiver.
Young, good-looking
No,
white.
I say that, but Zach is obviously very qualified.
Well, Sean
for what he's
McVay,
doing.
Cliff Kingsbury, and now he's the next.
Yeah.
Press Taylor is the quarterback's coach for the Eagles.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
Because I remember I've seen.
He's doing well then.
I mean, he has a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But so does Brett Bielema. So.
Wow. Okay, so we were talking about the non-committable offers and stuff like that. Before that, Ike chooses SMU, and you were saying like Vahimi, it really hurt them in terms of they probably could have pressed for him more if Ike had been open with him.
I absolutely think so, and it feels a lot like a situation where Oklahoma had to kind of sort out, or I guess Ike had to sort out where he was going to see things. Like, I mean, when was he going to come to a final decision? Because it sounds like he thought in his head he was going to Oklahoma this whole time, and then at some point in the last 24 hours, the law was kind of laid down that, no, that's not what's actually going to happen here. So something changed or something wasn't clear as far as who was actually going to make that decision. Because like I said, what I have gathered is the only person that voted for SMU was the Guardian. So I don't know exactly what to make of that just yet.
I guess it really doesn't matter. This is more from my knowledge, but is it a Guardian situation? Like, does he live with them Guardian type thing? Or is this like a trainer that is acting as a Guardian, if that makes sense?
No, I think it is an actual Guardian. And he's the guy that came with him to the OU visit.
Okay,
he's in the pictures that Danielson took at Oklahoma.
It's a guy that truly
I don't
cares
think it's
about
anything ugly. I really don't.
Okay.
I just think it sounds bad because we've gotten so used to the Guardian and air quotes kind of conversations.
Right.
Josh, to sort of piggyback off of that, now we have Jaylon Robinson in the transfer portal, and you had the late offer to Brandon Pierce, the junior college receiver, last Thursday. OU already sends out the relief sort of expected. Nothing today, but when do you think maybe we might hear something?
Hey, guys, give me 2 seconds. I got somebody at my door, and my dog's freaking out.
Okay.
So give me 2 seconds. Let me deal with this,
Wonder
and
who
I'll
it
be
is.
right back. Sorry, weird.
All right, well, Josh takes a little break. Let me take some time out to tell you guys and remind you guys the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant is our title sponsor. Can't tell you how much we appreciate them. Go out and support Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Great place to stay if you and your wife, your significant other, just want a great weekend out. They've got a great steakhouse out there, really big time. 1832 Steakhouse. They got Mexican places. They've got casual stuff for you. It's almost like a food court over there by the district. They've got bowling. They've got a movie theater. Also, the great concerts that they've got. If you want to check out their concert schedule, go to ChoctawCasinos.com. It's a great venue, too. I went out there one weekend, and even though I'm not like a big Kansas fan, they were playing in Creedence Clearwater Revisited, who is don't go see them. They're terrible. Just without John Fogerty, it's a crime against music. But Kansas was fantastic. The venue was fantastic. So go check out their concert schedule, and also they're going to take care of you as far as the gambling goes. The table games, they got a great poker room, slot machines. They got the roulette wheels, all that stuff. So you can do like I do. Go have a great weekend, whether it's good or bad. I like putting a hundy down on either black or red. And if you had a bad weekend, it all works out. If you had a bad weekend and you don't hit, it's like, damn it.
You just chalk that up to, well, that was the way the weekend went.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like it to
Sooner
be stated
red.
that it is not Sooner Scoop official policy to bet on red, ever. So
But
let's
Sooner
just be
Red
clear.
is-
We're a bet black podcast.
Sooner red is recommended, though, if you want to
So
win.
red has really dicked you over the years, is what you're saying.
I can literally tell you, we've talked about this before. I play a lot of roulette. That's one of my favorite games.
Oh, yeah, you are a roulette king.
I have never in my life bet on red. Now I'll bet a red number. That's a
Well, how
different
do you
thing.
know if it's a bad thing if you've never bet on it?
Because I win a lot on black. I mean, this
okay.
is a lot of trial and error. This is like tails never fails.
So it is true.
But you haven't been to the
Once
Choctaw
you go black, you never
Casino
go back.
Okay.
That's 100% factual, Eddie.
Can't believe you said that in the middle of me saying a sponsor's name.
Go down there. You're going to win. Bet black.
Well, you don't know. You haven't been to the roulette tables there at the Choctaw.
I'm recommending, though, from a recommendation through Josh, through you, to go down there and do it.
I did win $250 the last time I put black down.
There you go.
I won $500.
See?
It wasn't my money. Well, I can't say that, can I? You're just going to hear a long bleep in this podcast again. I'm going to mark.
And we're back.
Eddie, I can't believe you said that again.
What? What did I say?
Okay, before
I think
you
my
left,
joggers are here.
before mountain lions, before you left, you were talking about
Brandon Pierce.
Brandon Pierce and exactly what is going on with him. So exactly, again, what is going on with Brandon Pierce?
Well, and Bob and I have kind of had to work together on this because it's been a weird situation. Now, when it happened last week that Oklahoma made the offer to Brandon Pierce, the wide receiver from College of the Canyons, you couldn't figure out how that added up, how that was going to work. And then it got even more confusing when we found out that Enokk Vimahi was not going to be a take and that they were kind of connected because Vimahi had always been seen as a little bit more of a priority and clearly Pierce being a late offer. When the Jaylon Robinson news came about yesterday, then it started to add up and you kind of understood where the numbers that Oklahoma was working with. Now, I would say over the last, really since that offer happened, Bob and I were pretty much in agreement based on the people we talked to and just kind of looking at how things were going to work, that he wasn't going to sign today, that he was going to try to take his time, probably. And I think this kind of, to go back to our conversation about being remedial for people, just because today is signing day doesn't mean you have to sign today.
Yeah.
It's an
just
open
like
window.
The early signing period is like a 3-day window or something, so this one has its own window too.
Yeah, I want to say this one's like 2 or 3 weeks or something. Like it's open for a while. I don't know the exact dates on it, but I mean, it like I said, people just always think, well, it's today. No, there's a timeline. So I would expect Pierce to come out for an official visit at some point or another. Barring something else changing, you have to think he probably ends up at Oklahoma. There's just no one on his offer list that begins to compete. But with what just happened with Danielson Ike, let's not count on anything. So I think Oklahoma's in really good shape there. He's a speed receiver. He's a guy that makes a lot of sense, especially with Jaylon Robinson now stepping away from the program. But at the same time, it's really interesting to see what Oklahoma is going to try to do because the loss of Ike creates more of a need on the offensive line. And do they feel comfortable taking 2 grad transfers, where we'd heard one was probably going to be the case for a little while now? So they're still kind of juggling how the numbers are going to work. But I would expect 1 grad transfer is a certainty on the offensive line. I think 2 is now possible.
And the thing with Jalen that was so weird, because I do the tracker thing for the true freshman, is he plays 4 out of the first 6 games and then just disappeared. It's like he went even away from the sideline. You couldn't find number 89 anywhere.
Wasn't he the guy, like, after the Texas game, like, a bunch of the defensive players credited him for, like, being that.
That's Crawford.
Shifty,
Crawford.
Jaylon Crawford.
Yeah,
okay.
you're thinking of Crawford, who did scout team except for 1 appearance against Kansas. But Jalen was in the very first series of the season. He's there with Rodney Anderson celebrating in the end zone. And I don't know if he got phased out, if he didn't like his role. But after that,
or it could have been that they wanted to play him 4 games, keep his red shirt, and that was the plan all along.
It could have. 4 out of the 6, and then Rambo started to take over.
Yeah.
As the guy a lot more, but I couldn't even see Jalen on sidelines. Never heard anything about him being hurt. He said nothing on social media. It was just a weird case where you're like, what is? I don't even remember seeing him at media day, because I was looking for him because he had the pretty distinguishable hair.
Yeah.
That you could have found him. I don't remember him at all ever being part of the team.
And it was Crawford that was in the Jalen Hurts pick, right?
Yes. That a lot of people did not know, perhaps because he cut his hair, because he had crazy hair in high school too. But yeah, Crawford seems like he's locked in. I have a story coming up on him later this week. He seems like he accepted redshirt role. Now he's ready to show what he can do.
And Josh, you mentioned graduate transfers on the offensive line. I think the other, maybe the bonus that comes out of the Danielson Ike thing is maybe not a grad transfer, but maybe Alex Grinch, if he gets some, maybe a kid. I mean, I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I know there's been talk about Josh Proctor. There's been talk about some other players. Isaiah, why am I forgetting his last name? Pryor. I mean, if something like that does happen, it allows you a little bit of room there too. If you found somebody defensively that was a grad or a regular transfer, even, you'd have room for that now.
Yeah, dating back to even before the staff changes had happened, it was pretty clear that Oklahoma was very seriously in the market for a grad transfer at safety. Now, I don't think anybody ever really emerged as a guy that they said, okay, that guy can definitely help us, because if you're going to get in that market, that guy needs to be in your 2 deep at least. I mean, because there's just no point in going down that road for a 1-year rental anyway. So some of the people, some of the names that we ended up talking to, those guys ended up at like Toledo and some places like that just frankly aren't going to get guys at Oklahoma's level. So I think it's something Oklahoma will continue to look for and look at. But I think when you talk about guys like Proctor or Isaiah Pryor or guys that are both coming from a program of Oklahoma's level, also having a connection to Oklahoma, but also probably not going to be graduate guys, then you get into a more interesting conversation. So we'll have to see what can happen. Obviously, Alex Grinch has connections to both of those guys, but I don't know that I'm like I said, with Josh Proctor, I would find that very surprising. I think he picked Ohio State for a lot of reasons, and I don't know that all those reasons have really changed. So we'll see what happens. But, I guess we should mention Greg Schiano is now the new Patriots defensive coordinator.
It's unbelievable how all that, I guess, ended up for Schiano and just with Grinch. And, because remember, what was it, just shortly, I guess, before the Orange Bowl, it was like, well, if Schiano leaves, they're going to just elevate Grinch at Ohio State. And, I guess it's still unreal to me, everything that took place over the last month and a half as far as Grinch, Jalen Hurts, everything that went into the month of January, really.
Not to mention, that's when recruiting happens now, too.
Yeah, and everything was kind of closing down at that point.
And this really, we can talk about this for a second, but just nationally, there are so few. What were there, like 2 5-stars that hadn't signed? Was that the number, Josh? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it would have been Ishmael Sopsher and George Pickens were the two that were still, I think, up in the air. If there's another one, I'm forgetting them.
Georgia loses out on Hazelwood. They flip him from Auburn. And then is it LSU and Alabama, or is it?
Yeah, that's the last two. Everybody kind of thinks it's going to be LSU. And now that I say that, I think Ishmael may have dropped out of the 5 stars because he was really pretty lackluster, but he's in that conversation, so the same kind of basic idea. But yeah, as far as everybody else, the other one is Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle from West Virginia. Everybody expects him to pick Tennessee. That's one. I was actually getting in my cheats yesterday on the forecast on Rivals, and I was like, he was like 87%. I was like, okay, I've never talked to this kid ever, but I'm going to go ahead and put a forecast in for him because I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I am not ashamed of a few freebies in the forecast.
I think the thing about this, though, is like, look, we're going to be, we wondered how fans would react to this. I don't know if we wondered there. We just wondered if fans were going to get fired up for an early signing period. I think after 2 years of this, that's going to be something that's more and more. Like we've been planning around that early signing day, knowing it was going to change, knowing the second one wasn't going to be that big of a deal. Like Oklahoma State only signs the one running back, the Glass kid. So like even the programs that are in the 30s and 40s or 50s, they're not having big hauls or anything because they're basically everybody is forced to get all their guys that they're going to get in that first signing period. And really the only people that are kind of lost are like the old newspaper guys. I mean, like, I love The Athletic, but I saw The Athletics like running all these big features today about recruiting, and I'm like, oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, really, this day just becomes whoever made coaching changes in December.
Like Kansas State. It's a big day for Kansas State.
I think Kansas State's done pretty well, too. I like Thomas Grayson from Booker T.
It's the Division I schools that have had big changes in one direction or, for one reason or another. And the other group that goes crazy today are Division II, NAIA, those guys, because they all had to wait to see. And I think they love the early signing period because you get all of that stuff out of the way. And then like I said, the schools like Kansas State or Kansas or whoever that had all those coaching changes, they can kind of go figure out what they're doing. And then from there, you get, the rest of it. That the NAIAs can kind of figure out what's going to be left for them. Same for FCS, all that kind of stuff. So I think this has become kind of the smaller schools. This has become their signing day.
I saw something interesting today. I mean, I've been seeing it more and more. But, we always talk – we've seen like how universities have turned everything into recruiting, like – Obo Karanko and Stephen Parker playing in the Super Bowl. No, they're not playing, but they're in the Super Bowl. So, like, they're sending out all these things like, oh, congratulations to all our Sooners, or, other schools were doing the same thing. It's like you're always trying to promote your program. Like, is that filtering into the high school level? Because I saw a picture from Broken Arrow today, and it looked like they were welcoming in President Trump or something to their school. It was like they set it up in the indoor facility. They had tables everywhere, chairs. It was a giant production.
Because they have 37 kids.
Yeah, I know they have. But is that part of like high school recruiting now? You have to show like you send all these athletes to colleges. Like move to Broken Arrow's district, and your kid could go to college too.
Well, exactly. I mean, I just saw North Shore's recruiting coordinator. They've got 17 guys headed to college after this. I mean. And now North Shore is really special this year, so probably 10 of those guys are FBS. But even if you're one of those few dads that can be realistic about his son and say he's 5'7" and 170 pounds, he's not going to Texas. He's probably not even going to U of H. You can say, but he might go to
a JUCO,
San Angelo or something like that. So yeah, and that's become a huge part of it because. It's not any – people still get so hung up on, this school recruits that kid and blah, blah, blah. It's not really that anymore. The parents are very aware now. They don't – Jinx and Union, well, I've talked about this for years. They don't need to recruit. If you want to, have a chance to win a state title every year in the state of Oklahoma, you go to friggin' Jinx or Union. I mean, it's not rocket science. So they don't have to do a lot of that crap. It's just,
but Owasso and Broken Arrow
from,
did.
You know, Owasso or wherever, you know, for years past, Owasso or Broken Arrow just happened to move in, and now he's our starting middle linebacker. So that used to happen. Now it doesn't really need to at places like that. So now these schools have to continue to, you know, make sure these parents see it's not just about, oh, you come here and win a lot of football games. We can help you pay for your college.
Yeah, I played JUCO baseball for free for 2 years. It really helped my parents out until I went to school another 4 years.
Good for the small schools. They can have their day.
Yeah, it is kind of cool that, you know, it brings more attention. I mean, there's no media going to those, but
There'll probably be the local channels
local
will probably
TV
go do
stations,
the
Local
stuff
papers.
yeah,
today.
I saw like Tyler Palmatier was over at Westmore.
Oh, he
or
was this
something.
morning.
Yeah,
I would imagine Channel 4 goes to Millwood this afternoon for Damarian Houston and Isaiah Majors. I think is signing with UCO. Houston committed to Nebraska this morning.
Did
so.
he? I didn't even see that.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
Something. Oh, go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
I'm going to be in trouble if
I was just
Nebraska
getting ready to say
gets
like
better than Iowa State.
I
pretty
feel
soon.
like Scott Frost is not. I don't want to say they're headed in the right direction, and I don't think that they're gonna win the Big Ten next year. But I do like some of the stuff that they've done, and they played better at the end of the season than they
did, but
at
my
the beginning
God,
of the year.
I mean, how
They got
bad
beat by Troy.
were they?
They got beat by Troy.
I'll bet you money that's a 7-win or better team next year.
But
What's
what does
weird
that
is,
really
what's
mean,
weird
though?
is he left UCF, and like Josh Heupel looks like a mastermind. Like
Yeah.
he lost Mackenzie Milton, and they still were scoring 60 points a game.
Wow.
Like how set up is UCF for anybody to come in there and coach them?
Josh, you want to go down? You want to put Nebraska down for 7 more wins? I'll put UCF down for 8 or less wins, and it will continue to go down each year. How about that?
There's something to be said for that. I mean, you're talking about like I've never been around.
UCF
Scott
got
Frost.
a commitment from a guy at the Under Armour game.
Did they?
Yeah. Like
Yeah, but
I don't know.
unless Josh has just changed how he operates and how he just is. I
He
mean, like,
took over-
I don't know how you change who
How
you
he
are.
is.
He took over a program that was pretty set up, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't think that's unfair that you say that about Josh Heupel, who, you know, obviously has his differences and dislike for Oklahoma right now, which I guess is completely understandable. Kind of being a little bitch about it, but
Josh is a good coach. The problem is at a place like UCF, you've really got to beat the bushes. You've got to really work hard and try to steal those couple of guys a year that are fringy for Miami or UF or Florida State or whatever. You've got to get a couple of those guys that you probably shouldn't have gotten. Scott Frost comes off as a guy that can do that. He has that kind of energy. He has that kind of enthusiasm. All those things that you need to win in recruiting. The Josh Heupel I knew wasn't that guy. So now, you know, can he hire the right guys to make up for some of that? Sure, absolutely. But if I'm going to bet that UCF stays on a 10-plus win plateau or above, or falls below, I'm going to bet below.
Yeah,
like
I
I don't know that I think that they can continue that just because, like I said, I don't know that he can be the recruiter he has to be.
what's the cult movie where the guy works at S-Smart and puts the chainsaw on his hand?
I have no idea.
Josh, you know what I'm
What?
talking about? The Bruce Campbell, is that the actor?
Oh, is it Evil Dead?
Evil Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Josh Heupel has been through an Evil Dead situation where he's like a really nice guy and something horrible happened to him, and now he's just wanting to murder everything.
What do you think it was?
Getting fired by
Getting
Bob
fired
Stoops.
by
That's
yeah.
what put it. Well,
Like it sent him over the edge.
shouldn't have put
That was a
out
stone
shitty
cold killer.
offenses. I think it turned out well for everybody involved.
Well,
He's
obviously
a
he
head
wasn't
coach
running the
and-
offense he wanted to run.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, how messed up is the perspective that I think his worst offense in Oklahoma was like 18th. And we're like, that's shitty. They're terrible.
It is
Like,
shitty.
I mean, compared to what Lincoln's doing,
He
sure,
was
but what
handcuffed-
isn't
he
shitty
was
by
handcuffed
comparison?
with Landry Jones as his quarterback most of the time.
To be fair, he had a pretty big hand in recruiting that person.
He chose it to be that way.
Wilson knew how to get the hell out of there. Landry chased him away.
I mean, you talk about two personalities that fit each other well. Josh Heupel and Landry Jones.
Yeah. That's accurate.
Like both nice guys. Like I'm not saying anything mean about them. They're just very vanilla.
You know what I hope for? I hope that Josh Heupel and Bob Stoops one day sit down together and enjoy a nice, refreshing beer from Coop Ale Works and talk it over. Because Coop Ale Works is a great beer to hash out a long-standing feud with your adversary. For instance, Bob could maybe get like a horny toad blonde, and Josh would probably get a DNR. And then, maybe they could both order F5 IPA, or they could just go to CoopAleWorks.com and check out their full selection of beers. But no, we really appreciate all you guys that have been supporting Coop Ale Works, sending stuff out on Twitter whenever the big game, even Thunder games, and the Thunder games are only getting bigger from here on out. But NBA playoffs, all that stuff, shoot us, your watch party. If you're out and about, if you go to the website, CoopAleWorks.com, you can find out local restaurants that are serving Coops, even if you're down in Dallas, where to pick those up, all that good stuff. So thank you for supporting Coop Ale Works. It's a great beer company out of Oklahoma City doing year-round beers and then seasonals. So check out their website for more information there. All right, so we're moving forward to spring football, fellas. I mean, that's next stop on the map. I think I figured it out today because spring break is like the 16th. So it's probably going to be around the 11th.
Remember last year they did it after spring?
They did. They still did the week before.
No.
They
because
didn't?
we had no content ready to roll for spring break week because we weren't given anything.
I didn't remember it that way.
Doesn't sound like OU.
Well, that if
Not
it's
given access?
By the way, Lincoln Riley not having a press conference today.
First
Neither
time
is
ever?
Mike got it. Yeah, this is the first time that
First
there's
time
never been.
There's never been a no press conference on National
Since I've
Signing
been
Day?
around, yeah.
And that's what? 40 years?
just figure what every other question would be
That's
about
just crazy.
Grinch or Jalen Hurts. It wouldn't even been anything about the signing.
Yeah,
class.
because you signed one person.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we should be clear. We're not complaining about Lincoln. This is a completely reasonable resolution to a very boring signing day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not,
I don't want the board to be up in arms that we're coming after him.
You know what? You're not allowed to have an opinion on our jobs, all right? You can have one. I just don't want to hear it. That's all.
Well, see, but that's not fair. Because, we're talking about Lincoln's job.
Uh-oh.
So?
We can't have that both ways.
Josh, he gets paid $6 million a year, okay?
I've seen your paycheck. It's pretty impressive.
Yours is bigger. Yours is bigger. And it's been bigger
Well,
for a while.
Well, yeah.
You do all
I
the
wasn't
work,
even
though.
there.
No, but look, I'm halfway joking.
Of course.
It's just not on Twitter. That applies on Twitter. I don't want to hear you telling me how to do my job on Twitter.
We prefer you to contact us through Facebook Messenger.
You know what? If you pay for Sooner Scoop, you can do whatever you want. How about that? I'll put that caveat in there.
So can they contact you on Twitter and put it in parentheses, paying member?
No.
And then
no.
Okay, Twitter's just
because Twitter's not paying me to be
there.
there. Sooner Scoop
Right.
pays me to be there.
Fair enough.
I prefer you to send me a Facebook Messenger to air your grievances.
This is what's wrong with the world. It's
Oh.
Facebook groups. People are getting upset about my Simple Jack comparisons. I don't care. You can't complain. I don't want to hear that either. I'm going to do what I do. So, Facebook groups, have you guys ever, we are raising domestic terrorism. We are harboring domestic terrorism inside because of Facebook groups.
That's y'all.
I'm not in a Facebook group.
That's the olds that are doing this.
I know. I'm saying. But these people are migrating to Twitter.
I've never even been invited to a Facebook group.
Goddamn Facebook group.
What's a Facebook group?
They have a lot of
Like a
OU
group text?
Here's essentially what a Facebook group is. Like they have an OU themed Facebook group, and it becomes this big clique. They kick people out if they're too bad, or they have to invite you to come in. And all it is, when you get in there, it's just memes of Mike Gundy and Tom Herman, and everyone laughing like jackals. Yeah, I mean, it is. Let's be ridiculous fans and be awful to everyone that's not OU, but then we're going to control what you can say about OU if we don't like it.
So
And then all these people migrate to Twitter, and they treat Twitter like it's a Facebook group. This is what's I figured it out. This is what, because people keep telling me how to do my job or what. Like this guy yesterday, he was like, you're really good on the radio, and I respect the way you cover OU, but you're a real jerk to people on Twitter. You know what? Fuck you. I don't care. You don't get to tell me what to do. Go to your Facebook group and complain about it.
Did he meet our
quota? Yeah.
our quota demographic?
No, I was going to make that was my plan. I made the Crime Stopper thing for you initially, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to take a break because I've been fighting with Nebraska fans so much. I just feel like such an asshole. But I'm going to start. When people want to complain about my job or complain about paywalls, I'm going to make Crime Stopper reports and just take screenshots of their tweets and use the Crime Stopper logo, which the Oklahoma City Police Department will probably tell me to please stop doing. But I'm going to start making
They'll get it. They'll
Crime
understand.
Stoppers for
Not a bad idea.
bitches on Twitter. For poors and for olds.
It's just,
And I might start an unofficial 40 account and just do it on that.
yeah, you can do that too.
I think Crime Stopper's next mission after we've gotten to the bottom of this Eddie speeding case, which I'm not sure we fully covered because Eddie, damn it, this was a big moment for you. Carey was actually trusting you to drive the car. I remember we talked about it in the
It
pod.
was the first time we ever put his name on the rental
It
car.
just doesn't make. No, it's not.
And this is
I've
how
had
you
a
think.
rental car.
Oh, yeah,
before.
when you weren't with me.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense, is what I'm saying.
But to the bigger point, Crime Stopper's next search, who the hell told the Facebook people about Twitter? We got to get to the bottom of this. Who was responsible? Because there's been a great migration.
I think that's just the natural progression of.
They get tired of the circle jerk that is their Facebook group because they're not getting any information. They're just getting memes about Mike Gundy and Tom Herman talking to each other.
This will be old news when it comes out, but Enokk Vimahi just committed to Ohio State. So.
Oh, I missed on that one. All right. Damn.
Your forecast takes a hit.
But
No, I didn't put it up on my. Oh, did I pick it? Ooh, that's gonna piss me off.
Oh, I didn't realize that we're going to be able to give Josh shit about his forecast. And
Oh yeah, and it's gonna. There's not a lot that wounds. Damn it! I went with Southern Cal. Shit.
real-time reaction.
Ugh.
Has anyone have Texas fans come at you for having a percentage that's lower than other people or anything?
No, not so far.
That's yet to come.
Mine's been pretty good. I've like I said, I'm going to get the Danielson Ike backdoor cover today, but but generally speaking, it's not been. It's been pretty good. For a while there, it wasn't updating right, so I had all these hits that weren't being given to me. But right now, I'm 21 to 24. So
do you want to
not too
tell?
bad.
Do you want to tell our listeners what the fan forecast is, or what is it? Is it called the fan forecast?
For ours is just called the forecast. Ours is called the FutureCast, and then there's the Fan FutureCast.
The fan FutureCast. I think we should tell all the Facebook users that also like playing their Clash of Castles or whatever the that shit is, because they would probably like the Fan Future Forecast. It's like an online game. So
for those that don't know, it's something we put in really, I guess, about mid-season is when this kind of went fully live. You can go onto any Rivals profile of a player that has not already committed or signed, obviously, and go and make your prediction. Now, obviously, a lot of you all are going to listen to this podcast, and you're going to, hear about whoever from us talking about Oklahoma targets. So you can go and, you think, okay, Josh sounds pretty confident here. I'm going to pick this guy for Oklahoma, and you accrue points. And I want to say the last time I checked, 2 of the top 3 in the FanCast standings were Sooner Scoop members. Like, I mean, I'm talking in the entire country were Sooner Scoop guys that had picked that many correctly. So now, I don't want to say who they are.
Do you have to register on the site, or do you have to actually be a subscriber?
No, I do not. I'm almost certain you don't have to be a subscriber, but I do believe you have to register. You have
to have a Rivals account. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's correct.
Which, by the way, I also said that I thought I would go ahead instead of I've been frustrated with Twitter for a while and the Facebook migration and all that, and I told you guys maybe I'll just go live on the free board. And Eddie was like very much like, no, you don't want to do that. You said the free board is the craziest place on earth.
I visited there this morning. I was waiting for the radio show to start, and the first post that I hit, I literally almost got right back in my car to drive down to the Devon Tower so I could jump off the top.
Was it someone wondering if Saban was coming to OU?
Worse.
What was it? Can you not remember?
No, it was a little State of the Union thread.
Yeah, it's usually never sports on the free board.
And immediately, one post in, I thought to myself, Eddie, this man is over 85 years old that's posting this. Because it wasn't anybody that lives in the real world.
And then you went on to just destroy him on the free board.
Yeah, I clicked onto my alias and reviewed my Hillary Clinton emails, and then immediately no, it was just like, oh my God.
By the way, you reminded me of something. No more complaining about rounding up old people. I'm sorry. It's not a valid complaint. I'm not punishing anybody for talking about rounding up old people.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking about people listening that want to complain.
Well, yeah,
That's
because it'd be too hard to do it.
Well, they're very slow.
That's what I'm saying. It would take forever. That's why.
What you do is you set up.
That's why you start at the
dog
old
track.
folks'
You have the
homes.
rabbit leading them around.
You just open up pop-up furs everywhere.
Oh, now see, we got to be real careful here. Mrs. McQuistion will get pissy. That girl loves a cafeteria.
I love me some furs, man. I'm not
that
gonna
girl,
lie.
and she eats the baked fish. She's like 70 already.
She is 70. Oh, my God.
She loves the baked fish.
Wow.
You know what you do is you could probably start at the local election boards and just wait it out each time that there's an election for like a.
But not like a big election. Like
no, that's what I'm talking about. Like
very weird.
Minor one.
City treasurer or something.
Yes.
And then you just start eliminating by then.
Yeah, because the president you'd have to weed through. Like if it's the city, I don't want to say comptroller.
It's too mainstream.
Yeah, you'd have to find something.
You think the old people are kind of like, the older they get, they become like young people with music? Like they only like the artists that nobody has heard of yet? They only like their only polls they like are the ones that nobody goes to? Mm-hmm. Like that's
they're voting like city, like the Chamber of Commerce, they're voting for, like they're doing that kind of stuff. I will say this is where Eddie and I differ. Eddie wants to round them up. I don't want to round them up. I want them to leave them their own devices. I just want to, let them go in good into that night because, they don't.
You want to kill them is what you're saying.
No, I don't want to kill them.
That's what you
once you can't, take care, at a certain age, when you're basically subsisting completely on medication and medical care. If you can't survive without those things, then you know what? Maybe you can't survive.
Josh comes to kill you.
I'm not going to kill anybody, but I'm
just asking.
I'm not going to stop it from coming.
Okay, here's my plan then. We open a furs, but only with unhealthy items. No fish.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Pop up furs. Lots of French chocolate pie.
Who wants to die with baked fish in their stomach, other than you, Tiffany, who I know is listening? What you would want a greasy double bacon cheese? I mean, come on, live life.
A lot of prime rib,
Oh yeah.
A lot of mac and cheese.
Back them up, yeah.
Because they have broccoli and cheese at first, but it's all cheese. You're just eating a bowl of melted cheese with a little bit of green in there.
Well,
I just ask they get out of the left lane. That's it.
Well, they got a law for that now.
that's something Eddie shares with the olds.
He won't get out of the left lane.
He stays in the damn left lane. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, but
I've
he's
tried to
driving
talk-
95.
Live in the fast lane.
That's why he's getting speeding tickets.
All right.
Is he white? Is he a Republican? All right, I'll vote for him. Does he love Jesus? Okay.
No.
I don't want the letter. Just stop writing it. I know that was your first inclination, complainer, to write a strongly worded letter. It's not. It's falling on deaf ears.
If you write something and politics is your motivation, I can guarantee you I will not listen.
Make that letter out to Yahoo. How about that?
Oh, no.
'Cause
They're going to
people-
get us. They're going to report us.
People have tried. I mean,
That's my
the
favorite
thing.
of all the
Oh, no,
complaints.
no,
I'm
no.
going to tell Yahoo.
There's
Okay.
someone that's banned right now, and he knows who he is, and he cannot respectfully ask me if he can have his posting privileges back. Like, he can read the board. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's just a guy that was always a dick to me. You know, always like to make fat jokes and all that stuff. So I was just like, I've had enough of you. You can't show me any respect. You can't be on the board. And so, like, his responses are always like, have you got your pound of flesh yet? Are you ready to let me back on? I'm like, nope. And it continues. And that dude went to Yahoo. He went all the way to Yahoo. I got a letter from Greg Ladke. He's like, hey, I just wanted to tell you this guy went to Yahoo. You can handle it however you want. And I haven't told him yet, like, I know you tried to do this. Like, I know it was you, Fredo. But that's the thing. We own it. We can do what we want. You can complain all you want. It's a private message board.
It went in the
We're
same.
making Yahoo lots of money. They don't care about
Yeah.
what we're doing
No.
on the message board.
They go in the same trash folder as the Jeff Ketchum complaint letter.
You know what's crazy is my brother has been banned from the main board for being a jackass. He deserved it totally. And I spent like 6 months hearing him complain about it. And who is this guy that's banned me and blah, 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 blah. And I don't go on the main board, so I don't know. It ended up being Greg Ladke that had banned him. And the reason I found out is because I found out who one's mad is. Look, do you know this guy? And it was a picture of Greg Ladke on his wedding day. I was like, yeah, that's Greg
I
Ladke.
tracked down a picture of him on his wedding day.
He's one of the biggest, people at Rivals. Like, you're an idiot. You're going to ruin my life. So just you're banned. I'm not helping you.
And if you've pissed off Ladke,
Oh my God.
Yeah, it
You
must
know
have
what a
been
Ladke's
bad.
jackass.
super easy going,
Yeah, he
people.
Yeah, you know what a jackass
It
my
must have
brother
been
is
pretty
now.
bad.
Carey, like, I've always told my dad, I'm like, don't get on the board. Like, you can read it, don't post. Because my dad will get his ass banned. Like, I guarantee it.
Yeah. Just that's the only thing we ask. Just be respectful. You might not like us.
And I don't think anybody
fine.
here minds a little trash talk on
No.
the board. That's all good. But, like, if that's all you're about, then go do something else.
No, the dude I'm talking about, everything, it wouldn't even be about me, but he'd make it about me to say something shitty.
Oh, I think I know exactly who we're talking about.
UW?
Yeah, I think say would he his school be in Seattle possibly?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
All right, so let's throw out this one football-related thing before we get out of here.
Yes.
Bob, Eddie, Josh, let's go your top three. Well, let's do it this way. Your top 2 impact guys on defense and offense from this class. Potential impacts.
Like
Are
immediate,
we talking
immediate?
Yeah.
Immediate help right away, guys.
Okay.
I'll start it off. I'll
Yeah,
give
go
the
ahead.
guys a little time to think about it. Yeah. I'll start with Jeremiah Cradell. I think he is a guy that's physically ready. It's just going to be a matter of if he can process the information. And from everybody I've talked to, this is, I literally had someone say, this is not an overly complicated defense. Once you get the verbiage and you understand, it's a pretty straightforward thing. So I think you can have young guys come in and make an impact here. So I would go with him first off. And
Let's
then
let you do one, and then
Okay.
we'll everybody will
Go.
get one.
Sure.
Bob, I'll let you go next.
I'll go, even though he's just the latest, David Agwebu, because the edge rusher is going to be so vital moving forward, and there's not a lot of guys, especially if we don't know what's going on with Jalen Redmond in the long term, because we haven't heard anything here lately. So Agwebu can come right in, despite not being a mid-year guy. He can be that difference maker.
By the way, real quick note, I did reach out yesterday because I don't know if you follow Benny Wiley on Instagram. You should, because he puts up a lot of weight room workout stuff. You can see some of the players. And Eddie and I both noticed that Nick Basquin has been doing full workouts with the team. He did run out of eligibility officially, but he's trying to get a 6-year medical hardship ruling. I reached out yesterday to find out, has that done? And no one, I was told we don't know yet, that we'll get back to you. So it's possible that it has, but I think that's pretty cool. Think? I mean, I think there has to be some.
They have to feel good about it because why would he be working out with the team if he didn't?
Yeah.
So.
And I don't even know if it's legal to work out with the team if you don't have eligibility. I mean, I guess it is, but
Norman North kid.
Yeah.
What else he
could say
do?
He's training for the combine or whatever. Yeah. But I'll go same direction that Bob went. I'm going to say LaRon Stokes, just because a guy that is coming physically prepared, that's played higher than the high school level, and like you said, Bob, they're so desperate for edge rushers. I like his chances of making an impact next year. Edward Ardosevich, you're next.
Here's a complete surprise as far as
you can go
recruiting,
offense too,
real-time recruiting National Signing Day update.
Uh-huh.
Gavin Potter signs with Kansas.
Kansas has done really
well surprising,
today.
Josh?
I thought that was out already. Was that not out?
He was committed to K-State.
With Kansas State.
Oh, okay.
So.
And then OSU got in. Was it OSU that got in late? I think they offered him late.
OSU offered him late, and the dude, you want to hear, Eddie, you'll love this. He showed up to the signing ceremony in a Kansas State sweatshirt.
That's unbelievable.
That is ballsy.
It's ballsy, and you know what? Good for him. I imagine he's going to a school that
state could use a little football hate.
Yeah, especially going to Kansas.
Well, after Kansas got basically knocked out of the Big 12 race last night.
Kansas has picked up 2 pretty nice commits in the last 24 hours. Yeah.
They got that guy that was
from South
Michigan.
Oak Cliff.
Yeah. The kid that was
committed to Michigan.
Was looking to go to Michigan too. Yep.
Yeah. Kansas is having a pretty good day.
Yes.
I mean, by any standard, pretty good. By Kansas standards, unbelieveably good.
Les Miles is going to get some kids.
Yeah, that doesn't happen if Les Miles isn't the head coach, right?
He navigates his way around recruiting. I mean, you don't coach at LSU and not pick up some recruiting tactics.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And do you mean Bagman?
Your tactics?
I wouldn't think that.
Confused by your tactics.
Can you imagine Les Miles having to talk to all these basketball bagmen and it's like, guys, we just need like $100,000. I know Bill gives you the allowance to go get, spend $1 million to get DeSouza or whoever, and we just need like $50,000 from you guys to go get a couple of 3 stars.
We don't have to go to Canada, damn it. We can go down to Louisiana. They're easily bought there.
I know those guys, and they'll give you some good gumbo.
You can get 3-for-1 discounts in the greater Shreveport area.
Just go to OP Walker.
Yep.
All right, back on.
Okay, so
back
you can go
schedule.
offense too if you want. To skip it over.
I mean, I'll stick with. You want 2, right? And we're going to give 1 each. I'll stick with the defensive side of the ball, and just a guy that has kind of intrigued me, just because I don't really know a whole lot about him, but maybe I'm putting too much stock into where he's coming from. But he's coming from SEC country, and that's Woody Washington. I think he's a guy that could end up on the defensive side of the ball in a position group that obviously needs some help or needs something to improve. I think he could be a guy that ends up playing as a freshman, and who knows, maybe being a guy that could really turn it around there at the defensive back group, or the cornerback group. So it'll be interesting to see what Alex Grinch and Roy Manning can do with that position group. That's probably number 1. There's 1A, 1B, and 1C going into the spring as far as storylines. Jalen Hurts is one. The offensive line is one. And then I think just, as far as what Grinch and the new defensive staff is going to do with getting their eyes on a set of players or a group of players that I guess they're kind of unfamiliar with going into into the spring. So I know Alex Grinch kind of made the rounds yesterday as far as on the radio and I guess talking to people, and it'll be interesting. I mean, I think it's definitely an exciting time going into March as far as what they can do with this group, because I still, and maybe I'm just bought in too much to some of these players, but I don't buy the idea that they don't have any talent down there. Especially now with what would be 3 top 10 recruiting classes and possibly, a top 5 class with this 2019 group.
All right, executive decision. We only need to do one. Doing 2 for each side.
All right, well,
forever.
I'll just throw out that I think Theo Weiss is going to be just unbelievable.
There's your other guy. You have one on offense, one on defense. Perfect.
So boom.
Josh, I'll give you a crack at the offensive guy next.
I think the most important one might be Finley Felix, just because their depth on the inside is shaky.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what the spot that they're now in with the Danielson Ike news.
And people will say, well, he wasn't going to start. No, he wasn't going to start. He probably wasn't going to play.
We're talking about bodies, folks.
I think you're talking about having numbers that you can run a 2 deep in practice all day, all season. So I think that's a really key one. But if you were going to make me pick a guy that I think is could make a very early impact, I think it'll surprise some people because of the position he plays. But Ramondre Stevenson is really, really good. I think he is a lot like Trey Sermon with maybe a little more burst. So I think that's kind of what you're looking at there. And with him being a junior college guy, with Oklahoma really liking to shuffle in the running backs and go with the hot hand, I think he's a guy, and I've explained some of this on the board. We've got him ranked too low. There are some reasons for it that I have explained on the board. It's a crazy deal. He is a borderline NFL type guy. I mean, he's a very, very good player that could really help Oklahoma.
All right, Josh, since you're taking mine, I'm going to go with the guy not good enough to be in the Aggie Yell Top 100, Trajan Bridges. I know that I'm sure that was just an oversight, but that really got the board going yesterday when Bridges didn't make the top 100 on Aggie Yell. But
Eddie, don't do it.
But
we're not going to. I figured you have you rip the Texas people, you're probably going to rip the Texas A&M.
I only rip people I respect.
Okay.
The thing with Bridges, whenever we watched him, he brought out his A game every single time, and I think you put him at that slot spot if you're not sure about Basquin or you've seen Jaylon Robinson leave. That spot is open for someone to try to come in and make it his own, and I think Bridges could do that right off the bat.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Jaden Hazelwood just because I think here's why I say that. I think you're going to have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that is going to throw the ball down. I think Lincoln Riley will design this offense to throw the ball deep down the field with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. And from what I've seen of him, one-on-one situations against elite talent, he's pretty damn good at coming down with the football. So I think Bridges is going to be more of the utility guy at receiver. I think I could see Hazelwood being strictly like a go ball type guy, and I think Weeze can do a little of both. But he's going to be more of an outside guy. It
really is interesting to look at just as far as like the group of receivers that they have, and everybody, what's the first thing that everybody talks about when you talk about Baker Mayfield or you talk about Kyler Murray? It's the accuracy of which they threw the ball. Like, how accurate does Jalen Hurts really need to be with a group of receivers that is this talented? And that's all the way down to a guy like Lee Morris and Grant Calcaterra. I mean, I feel like Grant Calcaterra had probably one of the best catches in all of college football last season.
Well, and here's what I want to bring up too. And I've seen this. I've developed this opinion from some of the videos that have been out there. Like, you saw that video where Jalen Hurts and CeeDee Lamb were working on, like, back shoulder throws. Like CeeDee Lamb, I expect him to have a Biletnikoff-type season this next year. I mean,
right now on February 6th, I would be surprised if CeeDee Lamb wasn't a semifinalist, at least, for the Biletnikoff.
I mean, he is working hard in the weight room. He's getting bigger.
He's huge.
He's becoming like Des Bryant.
Josh,
massive, freaky.
I just remember, like, cutting up that video that you shot I believe it would have been in like the quarterfinals. Does that sound right? Of his high school senior season. I want to say they got beat.
Okay, you guys, as ever, God, dog. Every time I'm looking at something else, you guys catch me. Who are we talking about?
God damn
Oh,
it.
wow.
You guys got me interested in the Aggie Yell thing, so I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what the.
CeeDee Lamb.
Oh,
Just what a freak show he's
Like, he
becoming.
made a couple grabs in that game that were just, I still use them as gifts sometimes. They were that good.
The catch he made,
Over the middle.
that was the state semis, Eddie.
It was over the middle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was over the middle. It was the last play of the game.
Okay.
And he damn near broke it. Like, he makes this unbelievable catch, and they couldn't quite get to the line of scrimmage to spike it one last time to give him one more shot at it. But it really does. Like, you hear this comparison all the time. He looked like Spider-Man, like just reaching up, like grabbing stuff that he had no business catching. His hands are as good as anybody I've ever seen. Now, what's funny about him is he's one of those guys that every once in a while he'll drop one that you're like, what the hell happened there? But the stuff that's just miraculous, like that catch he made this season on the sideline that he didn't actually make, that's one of the most absurd catches I've ever seen.
But the fact that he and Jalen Hurts, like, that's the one experienced receiver that Jalen Hurts can work with the most and develop that relationship. And when you start talking about back shoulder throws, the amount of trust that he can, like, I know he looks at Theo Weiss and Jaden Hazelwood and Trajan Bridges as like young, really talented guys. But you know, if Jalen Hurts, in his own mind, if he wants to have a big season, then it's going to be CeeDee Lamb and Grant Calcaterra and probably like Lee Morris that will get him there. That's the other thing too. Like, Lee Morris, is he the same guy without Kyler Murray as his quarterback? That Allen connection. I mean, like,
he always just seemed to find. I don't know if it was because he went to Allen, but he always just seemed to find him at the very last second.
Is he better than that connection, or was that connection what made him good? That's what I'm wondering.
How about this? Was that connection made because Grant Calcaterra struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Grant Calcaterra was playing great at the end of the year.
Yeah, he was playing really well. And Lee Morris, coincidentally, because they played the same position, I guess, wasn't, if that makes sense.
I don't know if I wouldn't say that Kyler wouldn't make that Big 12 championship throw to Lee Morris, but Grant Calcaterra might be the only guy that could have pulled that off, the one-hander to seal the game.
Well,
other than
CeeDee
CeeDee Lamb.
But
I mean,
yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think that, and maybe this is a shot at him, but I don't think Lee Morris could.
Man, he's
I
good,
think
though.
I think Calcaterra, maybe it happens every year. He had like a really good season, and then obviously, like you said, he played really well at the end of the year, and I kind of buy into thinking that he's going to have this major breakout year. But then again, I maybe it was because he was a little bit injured at the beginning of the season, and he finally was healthy, and maybe just had more confidence than anything else at the end of the year.
It's going to be interesting because they do have a lot of receivers in the program, and it's almost like, are you going to get reps with Jalen Hurts in the spring? Like, if you're Theo and Jaden and Trajan, like, how many reps are you going to get with the starting, possible starting quarterback? And then the reps that you do get with Mordecai, are they good reps? Are you making things happen? Because you've got to go impress in the spring. Even if you're the young 5-star guy, you've got to do something to show Lincoln Riley that you need to be on the field.
Absolutely.
It's going to be very dog-eat-dog.
And even more so on the defensive side of the ball. And it's based on
those safeties.
It's based on a 35-minute meeting with Alex Grinch or a press conference, but if you're going to play and turn heads early, you better do it. Or they're moving on. There's no time to sit around and waste. I mean, they got 15 practices to figure this shit out before, basically before the season gets here.
Jog my memory. Are there any DBs in early?
Jamal Morris.
Jamal Morris is the only one.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see Jaden Davis and Woody Washington out there in the spring. Cradell. I mean, especially at safety, but man, I mean, what I saw out of Jaden Davis and what Woody Washington, his reputation, size that those guys have. Like looking at Trey Norwood on the Benny Wiley stuff, doesn't look like he's gained a pound.
Yeah, I mean,
and he said that last year. He's like, I know I have to gain weight in the offseason.
I just don't think it's as simple as as it is, it's a lot harder to do than just saying I got to gain weight.
Well,
You
there
might
are
just
guys
have a
like
body
that.
that you
Lewis
just-
Baker was one of those guys.
He could sit around and eat 6 pizzas a day,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean he's going to gain any weight.
That's the way it works with those guys. So I
That's me.
wouldn't know.
That's me.
Well, Bob knows, but I wouldn't know what that's like.
It
I'm not
truly
familiar
is.
with the
I do
that
not
vernacular.
eat healthy, but I don't put any weight on.
God damn you! I hate you.
And the story is, and I think some of the bagmen would say that if you're going to bark as a young pup, you got to do it early, right?
Yeah,
Or you got to get out.
the
You got to
bagman would
leave.
say that. Yeah.
We'll pay you to leave.
Well, once you pay them, they kind of control you.
Oh, actually, yeah, you would just go find someone else to pay more.
Yeah, that's what you have
I
to
guess
do.
that's how that
That's the
works.
code of the bagman and the baggie.
That's the rule, the code of the
It's
law,
still
rule,
eat or be
rule of
eaten.
the land.
You took the money. Your uncle took the car. Don't cry. All right. I think we're done here.
Okay.
That was
Josh,
some good football discussion.
That was it took a minute to get there, but that was good once we arrived. Any as far as I just saw Andrew Ram was offered by Texas, I guess that's not too surprising.
More like, why did it take that
Yeah.
long, to be honest?
Yeah.
It's still weird to me, Texas casting a wide net in Oklahoma. Like, I just can't. It's so weird.
I think, I mean, to me, it says a lot about where Texas is in their own state right now. I mean, you look at some of these rankings, including the one I got caught looking at a little while ago. There is not a huge impact in the top 10 from the University of Texas. Like, they had a good class, but really Jordan Whittington's about the only guy that you would clearly put in that top 10 group. So, that's just crazy. I mean, you think about the years when Mac Brown, like, if Oklahoma got a top 15 guy out of the state of Texas, that was a huge coup just because it never, ever happened. So that's been really big. And like I said, they've gone national, and that's good. I did want to mention just kind of two quick things is we're about, I guess 2 weeks away, a little over 2 weeks away from Oklahoma's next Junior Day event on February 23rd. That's the one we expect to be
The big
really
one.
kind of star-filled. Yeah, there'll be a lot of guys there. And also, next weekend, I will be out in Los Angeles, not this coming weekend, but the one following. I'll be in Los Angeles at the first Adidas camp of the year. Going to get to see Bryce Young and Keely Ringo and a lot of other really big-name guys that are in Oklahoma's, those kind of primary top targets. Get to see Darian Green Warren for the first time. So really kind of excited to get out there and make that trip and just start to get a feel for those guys.
By the way, thoughts on Davon Graham and his commitment yesterday? 2020 wide receiver?
Yeah, I guess we should talk about a Rivals 250 guy that just committed. A guy, and you guys can talk
four-star.
about.
Don't really want.
You guys might want to start just because you were there when the offer actually happened. I mean, you kind of saw that whole thing go down.
Bob would agree. He was the best player at the camp that day. He was unbelievable.
And it made no sense at the time. He worked at receiver the entire evening and then says he's being offered in the secondary. And I don't know if there's a disconnect there, if he ever felt slighted that it wasn't at receiver. But you saw in his commitment edit, he put receiver. I think OU has come to accept that that's where he wants to be. And frankly, that's where it's more natural, and that's where he made, one big-time catch after another at the camp and during his junior season.
I don't know about you guys, but when I saw him in the regular season, the thing that stood out to me is he's listed at like 6 foot 170. I'd say that's about right, but he's really long-armed. Like he was much kind of bigger. Like he was able to cover more space than I expected him to. And it really, like I said, a lot of balls that weren't perfect, he could kind of find a way to come up with. Had a big, long touchdown where he just caught a little pass out in the flats, shook one defender, and then just raced up the sideline. So he's a guy that I don't know that every OU fan is going to be over the moon about because he doesn't run like Marquise Brown or he isn't as big as Jaden Hazelwood, some of those things. But he's a really good player. I mean, to me, he more naturally fits what Oklahoma does offensively than some of those guys from the 2019 class where I'm like, well, those are all big outside guys. It's not really what Oklahoma has built itself with. So I think he's a really natural fit. And now it kind of takes some of the pressure off, if there was any at receiver, where Oklahoma can really focus on kind of those either a really big outside guy like a Michael Wyman, or they can kind of move toward some of their slot targets like Jalen McMillan and some of those guys that are going to be a little more natural playing inside the hash.
I wonder if OU or OSU will ever talk to Fox 23 in Tulsa again.
Gavin Potter is not bashful. That
wow, he
Oklahoma
really made a day
Oklahoma,
out of it.
He pissed off half of the Big 12
Well, that wasn't
today.
from Gavin Potter. That tweet was from a TV guy at Fox 23.
Well, he was covering his signing. Yeah, Jeff Kolb. Interesting.
I can flat out tell you, Gavin reached out to me a couple of times over the last month. Like, is Oklahoma going to look at me? Is Oklahoma interested in me? I very, very much wanted to hear from Oklahoma.
Hey, you know what? I like that attitude that he has.
Oh, sure.
Because if I was in his position, I'd be saying the same thing.
Yep. Oh, there's nothing wrong with feeling like you were. I mean, guys, we loved Baker Mayfield for the same shit.
Yes.
Like, he used all that as motivation, and he was fun to cover because of it. I'm not going to fault that kid for feeling the same way.
I'd feel slighted too.
Go to KU, kick some
And
ass,
you know what?
Make everybody regret it.
Maybe you should have got in on him.
Hey, you could argue that Oklahoma could have had their whole linebackers class from Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you could
He and Marchicelli are both really good players.
You could do a lot worse.
I could argue they did.
There you go.
I don't. Something in my throat.
Well, that's.
Look, it's gonna. I'm thinking.
Do it, Josh. One more nail in that Tim Kish coffin. Come on.
Yeah, nobody's kicked poor Tim around enough. I mean, that hasn't been. I just, I think we all fall victim to that stuff. Like, you fall in love with what you're used to, and he's recruited California forever.
It's kind of like I could have done a podcast with Mike Stoops, and J.D. Runnels did one with him. You can go check it out. But I don't want any part of sending that out. I mean, it's over. Let the body rest in peace.
And everybody has landed in a spot that couldn't have been more perfect. Like, Mike's going to Alabama. I think that's going to be great. It's going to be good for his career.
No, he's excited about it. I think
it's a good.
He's even termed
breathing
it kind
opportunity.
of a career rehab.
Yeah, well, he's going to the right place.
And I think deep down he wants to see another program, how it operates, how people coach kids hard yet still reach them. Because there's no doubt he lost the ability to coach kids hard and not lose them, and he knows that. And hopefully he figures it out.
Yeah, like I said, we've gone over all of that. I do want to add, I don't know if you guys just saw from Brett McMurphy, Southern Miss coach Jay Hops wanted to hire Art Briles to be his OC. Sources said big donors also backed Briles' hiring, but the school wouldn't allow it. What the hell is a big donor at Southern Miss?
What is a big donor, and who the is Jay Hobson?
I don't know. A dude that doesn't need to be in coaching.
They should
if
fire
he thinks
him
Briles.
today.
Did you see the statement he made?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's an idiot. The guy's an idiot.
I tweeted out the other day, Eddie, when you sent that thing in our little private message. Like, I think this is a sign that people are trying to show, hey, there's actually an opening here at Southern Miss if you want to come look. Because we're so screwed up about it, we may actually hire Art Briles. Surely you have a better resume.
Yeah, he went. I mean, this is the article. I don't know if it's aggregated or not, but the title says that Jay Hobson went behind his administration's back to try and hire Art Briles. That's fireable right there.
Although I will say, I bet Art Briles appreciated him going behind somebody's back and covering something up.
I can coach there.
Do you think that he called Art like the best way to do it? Like, try to contact him?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I cannot imagine Lincoln Riley knowingly trying to drum up public support for a candidate that Joe Castiglione told him he couldn't hire.
Or Briles probably had some of those. He probably had some roofies left over that he handed Jay Hobson's like, give your athletic director one of these, hire me.
I like that Hobson's comment was like, that's my job to make sure our guys stay in line, blah, blah, blah. So your OC has no role in that, right? He just calls plays. Like, what message are you sending to your players? Like, yeah, this guy allowed just widespread rape to happen amongst his football team, but you know what? He can call a football play. Like, what are you telling your guys? Like, you can say that that's your job, but they can see your actions over your words.
If he hired Art Briles, all Art Briles would do would be to connive his way into his job.
You think that's his end game?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
He's a despicable human being. Anyway. We have to talk about something else before we can end on Art Briles as a monster. Eddie's fine with that.
We want to talk
OU basketball?
No.
That's even worse. No, that's not an even worse note, but it's also,
who's in a worse run right now, the men or the women?
OU doesn't have a women's basketball program.
I don't know. I think maybe some of the women could make OU's men's basketball team better.
There might be some tougher guys.
Might be some shooters.
There might be some tougher people on the
women's team.
On the women's team than the guys' team.
I think they have better shooters. The women.
I couldn't tell you. I haven't exactly sat down and subscribed to a game this year.
They might not be able to get a shot off, but if they get it off, they can hit it. That team. I mean,
Bob and I have talked about it before. They are what they are. I mean, it kind of is what it is.
But they're not. Everyone has regressed. I mean, no, like Brady Manick is never going anywhere. It doesn't appear. Christian Doolittle looked like he was headed in the right direction. He's regressed.
Well, Christian Doolittle's the only person that's
the best player on the team.
I know what I say, but he disappears. I mean, he's not a guy that they get the ball to and say, "Okay, let's extend the lead," or "Let's get the lead," or "Let's get." It's like he just gets forgotten out there.
That's what Christian James was the first month of the season, and that's the biggest thing. Now that he's not that guy, you don't have that closer.
I don't know that I've ever seen a bigger head case at OU than Christian James.
He just, it is what it is. I mean, they needed to rely on him, and he's been a no-show. And, you know, I don't think it's a shot at him. I think he's lost a lot of confidence, but he's soft. There's no other way to say it.
I mean, the way that he dribbled the ball off of his legs at the end of the game against, who was that, against Kansas State?
Texas. That was Texas.
Just the way that he is down the stretch.
I mean, 1 of 10 in Morgantown. He hasn't been the same player in conference play, and it's really hurt because this team is getting all that it can, but when it doesn't play at its max potential, you see it's just an average team. It is the stopgap team to get you to Davion Harmon, Jalen Hill, Victor Iwuakor, but you had to get through this year first, and we were all misled a bit by the 11-1 start.
Jabani McNeese has just disappeared.
I don't know.
He had so much promise.
I don't know if the ankle, if it's mental, or if Kruger is just done with him, because it's weird seeing.
I think that they might have rushed him back too early, and that ankle has never, because he's a much different player than he was the first month.
He
of
was
the
a
season.
guy that he kind of had
he has no push off of his leg.
He kind of had like a Jeremy Grant type game. Like he was just a pogo stick off the floor.
And it's just not there right now.
No.
I think that they brought him back too early, but it is what it is. And, you know, they are the oldest team in the country, and they play like one of the youngest teams in the country, which is just, you know, and I'm not saying they need to fire anybody, but I don't think Lon Kruger's done a good job with this group.
No, and I think you have to question if he gets tuned out by his teams.
Sometimes I think he does.
Last 2 years.
Well, they haven't
lost it.
Haven't had a winning record in this month ever since Kruger's been coach. The best they were was 4-4 for one of the years with Buddy.
They need Davion Harmon to come in here and just big dick this program. Someone with just massive amounts of confidence that's going to compete and make everybody else compete.
That's the thing. You got to make everyone else follow your lead. That's what Trae Young couldn't do.
And that's what Christian James doesn't do. He doesn't inspire anyone else to play hard on the floor.
Yeah.
Miles Reynolds is actually the best, but he's the one. But he's not
game good.
Doesn't exactly. Yeah. You have to have both. You have to be a damn good player and be a leader. You can't be a leader, but not one of the top players. You can't be a top player, but then you're not a leader.
You got to be
bad-
Baker
bad
Mayfield,
mix.
not Trevor Knight.
Yeah.
They might win the NIT though. Get ready for a couple of NIT home games. at
Carey,
Lloyd Noble
don't make
Center.
us cover the NIT.
Oh, I'm going to New York City. Damn it!
No, you get to cover it until Madison Square Garden.
No. If they go to New York, I'm going to go and be like, hi, I don't know who you are. Like, I'm Josh. You're on the team, right? Yeah. Great. This is going to be awesome. Let's do this.
You're the shit show they've been talking about.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you, but I don't know what any of you look like. Great. Let's do this.
I
thing
didn't
that-
pay for you guys to go to Kansas. What makes you think I'm going to pay for any basketball coverage?
I'll stay with some of my friends that live in New York. The thing that sucks is
You two haven't had your stupid little running joke about you saved up enough money to send us to Minneapolis.
well, we had to sell all those hotel rooms about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago when Oklahoma got beat by 30 at home in a historic loss at the Lloyd Noble
We
Center.
canceled all the hotels.
Yeah, we canceled everything.
What's funny is, as bad as they've been, now 15-8, 3-7. If they beat Texas Tech on Saturday
They're not beating Texas Tech.
at home,
They might. Tech's not very good.
They're
I mean,
falling
that-
apart,
And
aren't
at
they?
some point, it's kind of the thing that I've said is like, I thought they were going to beat Iowa State on Monday night, but at some point, they're not as bad as they've played, but they're also not as good as everybody thought they were 2 months or a month and a half ago. So,
And they don't have anybody to take them over the top.
yeah, and that's the thing. They are what they are. They're a very average basketball team, and it kind of is what it is. I think Kansas State's really good. I think Iowa State's really good.
Here's my one complaint, though. This is my one
Baylor's
complaint.
decent.
While it's in my brain, why the hell, after those two games, did they not say, "Hey, Bieniemy, you've got a much bigger role in this team now. You have the green light to shoot it more."
it's what Lon said.
I think he's tried. He's just a freshman.
Yeah,
He's just-
I mean, Lon has encouraged Jamal to be more aggressive, but I still think Jamal just takes a backseat just a little bit because he thinks he should defer to Odoms and to James and should try to get those guys involved first.
Guess what, Jamal? Look where it's got you. Everyone wants you
Where?
to shoot. I mean, it's got them to, what is it, 4 of the last 5 they've lost now? Or is
yeah,
it 3 of 4?
3 of 4 for sure.
No, well, they've lost their
3 in a row.
their last 3, and
Yeah.
they had a 2-win week before that.
Okay.
So yeah,
It's gotten them in the shitter. They
Yeah,
got
they're not
beat
very
by
good.
they got beat by West Virginia, who was 1-7. My
That
God.
was the low point.
Without-
When you get out rebounded and you
game
give up
was so
18
hard
offensive
to
rebounds.
Ugh.
Give up 18 offensive rebounds.
West
and
Virginia is terrible.
your men's rec team, if they give up 18 offensive rebounds, is going to get beat. Let alone a Division
I
One
mean,
team.
I can't believe Bob Huggins hasn't had a stroke yet.
The season's not over. The season's not over, and I love Bob Huggins, but that team might actually kill him.
Maybe just don't get in a car with Vince Young anytime soon.
Nobody ever claimed that he was a smart guy.
How does that happen in this day and age with Uber?
I noticed he was down in Missouri City.
Probably
Yeah,
he got
some
picked up
event.
That's not far from where I used to live. There's nothing good happening in Missouri City at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nothing.
I
And
imagine
don't
he
mean that-
was he leaving some kind of Super Bowl party or something, or maybe went and I don't know. Is he married? Hooked up with somebody? I don't know. I guess it probably doesn't matter if he's married, but he was doing
problem is,
driving around
you're-
at 4:30 in the morning is never a good situation.
You're Vince Young in Houston. Do you know how many people would love to give you a ride to wherever you want to go?
Yeah,
How you don't need to call an Uber. Like anybody at wherever he was, even like they know who he is. Hey, dude, can you give me a lift? Yeah. Even if that dude gets the DUI, you didn't get it. So, like, I don't understand how that happens.
Stupidity.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that's going to do it. Somehow we managed to pull out about an hour and 40-minute podcast. We didn't know how we were even going to do an hour. So guess how we did it? A lot of stupidity. That's how we did it. That's how we do it all the time, though. So thanks to Josh, National Signing Day. Your long national nightmare is over. Actually, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was so much better than the days I'd have to go down to Campus Corner and sit there with a tote board and put names on it.
real quick before we get out, Josh and Carey, and maybe Bob, because you've been around it more than I have. What is the worst signing day you've ever gone through?
I don't know. Worst is ever.
Is there
The
ever been
word
like
for
just a day that you're like, oh my God, this is not only bad for OU, but this has just been awful.
There's always just weird. Like Josh will probably tell you, the name that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah.
Every year.
He'd be on the really short list.
But
can you imagine that shit show if it unfolded on Twitter?
I mean, there's just things you remember. Like you remember that OU passed out a commitment list or a signing list with Robert Meacham's name on it, and then they quickly gathered. I don't know if I was on the phone with Josh.
Can I get that back, please?
Like Kenny Mossman suddenly runs into the room. He's now an assistant AD. He runs back in the room and grabs up and they have to go in, take his name off, reprint them all, and Bob comes in there and you're like, he looks like he just came from a war zone or something. Like they're just blindsided by it because they thought they were getting him. That was nuts. There was a year, Ryan Broyles, when he signed, I remember I made a graphic for the front page of Sooner Scoop, and I took two separate photos and photoshopped them together, and it was Mike Gundy and Cale Gundy pointing at each other, screaming like during a game, and I thought, this is cool. And it was a big Sooners win Bedlam recruiting battle, and Cale Gundy called me and yelled at me because he didn't like the photo.
Is that why you're blocked?
No, I've done plenty to get blocked before that, but that was, the start of it. But Bill Hasten was asking me, like, what did I remember about the signing day when Adrian Peterson signed? I really don't remember that year very vividly. I mean, other than just that happening. And I think everybody that covered it and all the fans had such a sigh of relief that Adrian Peterson's name came in. I think that was all anybody. It was almost like you just forgot about what else happened that day. I don't know if you remember that or not, Josh.
The thing with Adrian, like, that one was always so bad for me because of nothing to do. Like, it was a great day for OU, but it was such a shitty trip for me to get down there. And I've told this story before, so I'll keep it fairly brief. Driving my truck down to Palestine, Texas, the day before signing day, blow out my transmission on I-35.
I forgot about that.
And so I have to get it towed all the way back to the city. One of my buddies, whose family owns a car lot, they don't advertise with us, so I'm not giving any free publicity. And he hooks me up. He's like, I got a car. You can use it. No problem. He hooks me up with like a 10-year-old minivan that I drive all the way down to Palestine, Texas. I go through the whole process. It's fine. Like, everybody at the school is really good. I don't get to Palestine until like 2 a.m. because of this whole thing. And then I have to get up at like 6 to go over there to school and do the whole deal. And, Carey, like we talked about in the World Story, he's been down there. It's not like I had to go a long way. But you go through all that. Then I get there. And then as the whole thing's over, Adrian and I kind of walk outside. And he sees what I'm driving, and I don't think I'll ever live that down. Like, I ran into him a couple years ago, and I still heard about that minivan. So that's just not one of my greater days, having to go through, because this was like my first big announcement to cover, and I'm so excited. And obviously, it's the number one player in the country. It's this huge deal. And, like, I couldn't get there. Jeremy Crabtree, who, I worked for at the time, it probably took him 5 to 6 years before he ever trusted my vehicles again. And, like, that was a nice new truck. There was nothing wrong with it. I guess I just screwed it up. So, but anyway, yeah, so that was one of my more painful memories. But it's not one that OU fans remember badly. The only thing I will say is hearing about, on the way back, there was a kid from, I want to say Duncanville or DeSoto or something like that was supposed to pick OU that day, and he didn't. And he literally, he had an OU hat, and I had heard a report that he literally, lit the hat on fire and then signed with A&M. And I've never been able to verify if that actually happened or if that was just a popular message board myth, because I was traveling, so I didn't really get to track it down.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, it was kind of awesome, but I don't know if it happened or not.
The cool thing about Adrian Peterson and that recruitment is that it was before Twitter. So, all the stuff that you found out about, or it was new to the world. It was just
Yep.
It was like the one urban legend was the whole Ricky Williams poster. That was the biggest kind of urban legend.
That he had it up in his room.
That he had it up in his room, and he's a big Texas fan, and that meant he was going to go to Texas. Like, that was the one thing that circulated more than anything.
That was always fun back then because everything you learned about a kid was new. Like it wasn't
You didn't even know if a kid was a shithead or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was
like now you know instantly if a kid's got a bad attitude.
Oh sure, because he's got 12 handlers and 3 coaches and 7 reporters that want to tell you all about it. So.
Yeah, Adrian had a stepdad and a mom, and a dad in prison that you never talked to. By the way, did you hear? Bill Haston told this story. I don't know if it was in his article. I don't remember reading a whole lot about it, but the story on Adrian Peterson was that Bob and Cale and Daryl Wyatt went to go see him in prison. And Nelson, his father, he was incarcerated at the time, and they went and walked around with him and talked and built this great relationship. And then after they left, the jailers and the warden and everybody got together and they're like, oh no, this is going to keep happening. Like, coaches are going to come here all the time and want to talk to his father because his son's the number 1 player in the country. And after OU visited, the jail decided that they would not allow any more coaches to come in to talk to Nelson Peterson.
Was the warden an OU fan or something?
Well, that's what I say. Like, did he go to high school with Bob Stoops or something? How'd they pull that off? But they just didn't want. They thought it was going to be too much of a distraction.
It's crazy.
So the fact that OU did that in the beginning and was one of the first to think about doing it actually paid off huge for them.
I wonder whose idea that was. Was that Bob or was it Cale's or?
I don't know.
And guys, you also have to say credit to that warden because that's a state-run facility. There were Texas legislators.
Oh yeah,
trying to fix that, and he didn't let it go.
Yeah, those A&M coaches at the time tried to.
Shit, yeah, there was some pressure being. Well, that'd still been Slocum, wouldn't it?
No, Francione. That was when he first got there.
That's right. You're right.
It was in the first newsletter. We went to prison today and got turned down by the warden.
Well, his first game was when Jason White blew out his knee the second time. So that would have been 03?
02.
02, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was coaching at A&M then.
Wow.
And he had that SEC very aggressive recruiting staff. Hell, Trooper Taylor might have been on that staff.
Is there anybody more synonymous with SEC than Trooper Taylor?
Did you see he got a job somewhere recently? And I thought, oh my god.
Yeah, it was with.
Was it Duke? Was it Duke?
Maybe. I remember thinking that's strange that they would hire him.
Yeah.
Florida.
I think it was.
No.
I think it might have been.
I think it was
David
Duke.
Cutcliffe.
Yeah. He does not seem like a Duke guy.
No. Is this racist?
It's scumbag racism.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say that's more because I think if Cutcliffe is really squeaky clean.
Yep, Duke.
And Trooper Taylor really, really not.
Of course, Mike Krzyzewski's probably the biggest scumbag on the earth.
That's a fact.
No, he's just the one coach that doesn't cheat. He just gets all the players. It's just a coincidence.
No, he and Roy Williams are probably the 2 biggest knower of where the bodies are buried.
Well, did you guys love the picture? Like, there was some picture I saw of Roy Williams. It might have been before a Duke game earlier this year or something. I don't know if they played yet or not. I won't pretend I do. But it was him on the sidelines, and he's sitting in, on their bench. It's like they're clearly doing warm-ups or something. And he has got probably a $1,500 pair of Michael Jordans on his feet. And he's clearly repping it for the cameras. Like, he's making sure everybody can see it, and he's kind of sitting there and laughing, and like he's wearing a suit with these Jordans. And you're like, and this is the guy that doesn't know anything about any of these shoe companies and their illegalities in the recruiting game. Yeah,
well, I'm sure
that adds up.
If you asked him, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm just supporting cancer over here."
Yeah. These are light blue for cancer. Wait, I don't know.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate all you guys, and appreciate all you guys listening. Soonerscoop.com. It's not ending. Spring football getting ready to start up. And don't forget, Josh mentioned the junior days coming up. A lot of new offers going out right now for 2020 kids. So this is when that next class gets in. We always talk about the recruiting calendar, and everybody thinks like today is nothing. It's no longer a big day on the recruiting calendar. The big days on the recruiting calendar starting now, and then spring football, Jalen Hurts, his receivers, Alex Grinch, his defense, all that stuff. So you want to stay with Sooner Scoop. Subscribe on Soonerscoop.com, and we'll have tons of stuff coming out soon. So until next time, appreciate everybody listening. Go listen, rate, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you then, right back here on the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant Unofficial 40 Podcast.